The scorpion promised not to sting, but can you ever truly trust someone whose nature is to destroy? Lucy Albright just made a deal with the devil, and Stephen DeMarco finally handed over the tape that's been haunting her every waking moment. But as she walks out of his room clutching that flash drive like a lifeline, one question burns through everything. Did Stephen really give up his power, or has he already won a game Lucy doesn't even realize she's playing? Because when you forget entire conversations, when reality starts slipping through your fingers like sand, when the person torturing you is the only one who feels real anymore, freedom might just be another word for falling apart. This is Tell Me Lies Season 3, Episode 7, where liberation and destruction become impossible to tell apart. The episode opens exactly where we left off, outside Oliver and Marianne's house with Bree and Wrigley sitting in the aftermath of their kiss. The tension is suffocating because they both know what this means. They've crossed a line that changes everything, and now they have to face the consequences. Wrigley suggests they could just pretend it never happened, sweep it under the rug like so many other messy moments at Baird College. But Bree won't let him off that easy. She admits what they've both been dancing around for weeks. She thinks about him constantly, and those thoughts aren't platonic. They're the kind that make you question every choice you've made up to this point. Wrigley confesses he feels the same way, and suddenly they're not just two friends who got drunk and made a mistake. They're two people who've been lying to themselves about what they really want. The decision they make next shows a rare moment of maturity in a show where everyone typically chooses chaos over honesty. They both agree to break up with their current partners. Wrigley admits that he and Pippa feel more like best friends than lovers, that the romantic spark has been gone for a while, even if neither of them wanted to acknowledge it. Bree knows she needs to end things with Evan, especially after everything that happened at the Valentine's Day party. But here's where it gets complicated, because even though they're being honest about ending their relationships, they decide to wait before starting something new together. They want to let the dust settle, give everyone time to process, avoid immediately jumping from one relationship into another. It's the most reasonable decision anyone on this show has made all season, which of course means it's about to blow up spectacularly in their faces. Before they part ways, they kiss again, because apparently one earth-shattering kiss wasn't enough for one night. Then Bree returns to her dorm where she runs into Lucy in the hallway. She gives a vague excuse about where she's been, but walking into her room and seeing Pippa sends a wave of guilt crashing over her. She knows what's coming, knows that Pippa is about to get her heart broken by Wrigley, and Bree is the reason why. Meanwhile, Lucy is operating on a completely different wavelength. She's in full strategic mode, trying to outmaneuver Stephen before he can destroy her life with that confession tape. Her first move is going to Evan's apartment with a proposal that's equal parts desperate and calculated. Lucy tells Evan that she's certain Stephen is going to tell Bree about their one-night stand from freshman year. She's convinced that Stephen is looking for any opportunity to hurt her, and exposing her betrayal of Bree is the perfect weapon. So Lucy comes up with a plan that relies on a simple principle. It's their word against Stephen's. If both Lucy and Evan completely deny that anything happened between them, if they stick to their story with absolute conviction, then what can Stephen actually prove? He has no evidence, no witnesses, nothing concrete. And Bree already hates Stephen, already thinks he's manipulative and untrustworthy. Why would she believe him over her best friend and her boyfriend? Evan agrees to the plan, which shows just how deep he's willing to go to protect his relationship with Bree. He's willing to look Bree in the eyes and lie to her face, all while telling himself it's for her own good. What makes this particularly twisted is that Evan has been taking relationship advice from Oliver, of all people. Yes, the same Oliver who groomed and manipulated Bree when she was 19 years old. The same Oliver who exploited a traumatized teenager's desperate need for stability and father figure validation. Evan actually sought out this predator and asked him how to make Bree need him more. Oliver's advice was chillingly simple. Bree is frightened and timid, so Evan should make himself indispensable to her. He should position himself as the only person who can provide what she needs, the only one who truly understands her. It's manipulation disguised as devotion, and Evan follows this playbook without questioning the source. When Bree's mother Mary comes to town for the photography exhibition, Evan volunteers to pick her up from the station. Seems like a thoughtful gesture, right? But Evan takes Mary out for drinks first, knowing full well that she's a recovering alcoholic struggling to stay sober. By the time they arrive at Bree's exhibition, Mary is visibly drunk. Bree can tell immediately that something's wrong with her mother, that she's been drinking when she promised she wouldn't. Evan lies straight to Bree's face, claiming Mary was already tipsy when he picked her up from the station. He's actively sabotaging Bree's relationship with her mother because he's threatened by the possibility of them reconnecting. If Bree and Mary develop a real relationship, if Bree has someone else to lean on for emotional support, then Evan becomes less necessary, less central to her life. So he's willing to destroy that potential connection to keep Bree dependent on him. It's manipulation on a level that rivals Stephen's cruelty, except Evan tells himself it's coming from a place of love. Lucy's desperation leads her to make a crucial mistake. She tells Stephen that if he just gives her the tape back, she'll confess everything to Bree herself. She'll come clean about the one-night stand with Evan and face whatever consequences come from that. In that moment, Stephen realizes with perfect clarity that Lucy has been playing him all day. Everything she said about wanting to get back together, about him being the only person who truly knows her, about choosing him over Bree, it was all an elaborate manipulation designed to get that tape back. Lucy was never planning to tell Bree the truth. She was lying to Stephen the same way he's been lying to everyone else for years, except she's nowhere near as good at it as he is. Stephen tells her with cruel satisfaction that she's terrible at manipulation, that he saw through her performance the entire time, and that she's never getting that tape back. That's when Lucy finally breaks completely. She returns to Stephen's room later that night, and this time there's no strategy, no plan, no manipulation. She's just utterly destroyed. Grace Van Patten delivers what might be the most powerful performance of the entire series in this scene. Lucy demands to actually watch the tape, not as a tactic to get it back, but because she needs to see for herself just how bad it really is. She's been living in terror of this recording for weeks, imagining what Stephen might do with it, how he might use it to ruin her life. The constant fear and anticipation have been eating away at her sanity, making her paranoid and unstable. She tells Stephen she can't take the waiting anymore. She begs him to just release the tape and get it over with, to end the psychological torture of not knowing when or how he's going to destroy her. Stephen plays the recording for her, and Lucy watches herself confess on camera that she lied about being sexually assaulted. She sees herself vulnerable and broken, apologizing over and over, giving Stephen exactly what he wanted. The part where she says she made the tape to apologize keeps replaying, and Lucy is completely inconsolable. She's sobbing and catatonic, cycling between hysterical grief and numb acceptance. She tells Stephen to release it, to send it to everyone, to let the whole world see what she did. She's reached a point where the anticipation of being exposed is worse than the actual exposure itself. She just wants it to be over, wants to stop living in constant panic and dread. And here's where something shifts in Stephen that nobody, including Stephen himself, fully understands. Watching Lucy completely shattered, seeing her beg for her own destruction just to escape the psychological torment, seems to penetrate through his usual cruelty. He stops the video, removes the flash drive from his laptop, and simply hands it to her. No conditions, no demands, no elaborate game. Lucy is so shocked she can barely process what's happening. She asks if he made copies, echoing his earlier threat that even if she got the physical drive back, he could have duplicated it dozens of times. Stephen's response is chillingly simple. You can believe me or not. He's leaving it entirely up to her whether to trust him, and that uncertainty might be more psychologically damaging than keeping the tape would have been. According to the show's creator, Megan Oppenheimer, and star Jackson White, Steven's decision to give Lucy the tape isn't actually a redemptive moment. It's not him finally developing empathy or recognizing the damage he's caused. Instead, it's him winning so completely that the game isn't fun anymore. When you've crushed someone so thoroughly that they're begging you to finish them off, where's the sport in continuing? Steven has already achieved his goal of breaking Lucy. He's already won. Keeping the tape at that point would be redundant, and Steven is ultimately bored by redundancy. He gets no pleasure from torturing someone who's already destroyed themselves. The victory he craves comes from the chase, from the manipulation, from slowly dismantling someone piece by piece. But Lucy has done the final dismantling herself, and that means Steven's work is complete. Lucy leaves his room clutching that flash drive like it's the only solid thing left in her reality. The next morning, she wakes up to a voicemail from her college advisor informing her that she's been accepted into a study abroad program for the next semester. For the first time in months, Lucy smiles genuinely. She can escape Baird College, escape Steven, escape all the toxicity that's been suffocating her since freshman year. She feels hopeful about her future, like maybe this nightmare is finally ending. She goes to Bree and Pippa's room to share the news, breaking down emotionally as she describes what she went through with the tape and how relieved she is to finally have it back. She tells them she's planning to destroy it, though notably that's not the first thing she did upon getting it, which raises its own questions about her mental state. But then something deeply unsettling happens that casts doubt on everything we just witnessed. Lucy runs into Tegan, the freshman girl Steven introduced at the Valentine's Day party. Lucy warns Tegan to stay away from Steven because he's a dangerous, manipulative person who will destroy her life. Tegan looks confused and tells Lucy they already had this conversation earlier that day. Lucy warned her about Steven hours ago, and she's now repeating herself word for word without any memory of the first conversation. This moment is absolutely chilling because it raises horrifying questions about Lucy's grip on reality. Is she actually experiencing memory lapses and dissociative episodes? Did she really get the tape from Steven, or has she constructed an elaborate fantasy to cope with the trauma of not having it? The memory lapse with Tegan plants seeds of doubt about everything Lucy experienced in this episode. Did Steven really hand over the tape, or is Lucy's mind creating false memories to protect her from a reality she can no longer handle? Was the study abroad acceptance real, or another fantasy her brain constructed to give her hope when she has none? The show deliberately leaves these questions unanswered, forcing viewers to question the reliability of Lucy as a narrator of her own experience. When someone has been psychologically tortured to the extent Lucy has, when they've been gaslit and manipulated and emotionally abused for years, their perception of reality can become dangerously unstable. We're watching Lucy unravel in real time, and the terrifying part is that Lucy might not even realize how far gone she actually is. Meanwhile, Pippa is going through her own emotional crisis after the breakup with Wrigley. She goes to Diana seeking comfort and connection, and in a moment of vulnerability and pain, she kisses Wrigley. He tries to set boundaries, tries to remind her that they just broke up, and jumping into physical intimacy isn't going to help either of them heal. But boundaries and good decisions have never been anyone's strong suit on this show, so of course, Wrigley sleeps with Pippa anyway. It's the exact opposite of the mature, thoughtful approach they both claim to want. Instead of giving each other space to process the end of their relationship, instead of respecting the decision they made to end things, they fall back into physical comfort because it's easier than dealing with the emotional reality of what's happening. The morning after brings even more complications when Pippa casually mentions to Bree that she had sex with Wrigley. She says it in this offhand way, like it's not a big deal, like it doesn't completely contradict everything Wrigley told Bree about ending things with Pippa to pursue something real with her.
Bree's devastated because from her perspective, Wrigley lied. He said he was breaking up with Pippa because they weren't in love anymore, that he wanted to be with Bree instead, and then he immediately went back to his ex-girlfriend's bed. It looks like he was never serious about being with Bree, like their kiss was just a drunken mistake he was already regretting. Bree doesn't know that Pippa initiated the sex, doesn't understand the context of Wrigley trying and failing to maintain boundaries. All she knows is that the guy who told her he wanted to be with her went straight back to his ex-girlfriend's bed. This revelation sends Bree running to Evan's apartment seeking comfort and stability. She's hurt and confused and wants to hide from all the messy emotions swirling around the photography exhibition and her complicated feelings about Wrigley. She tells Evan she wants to make their relationship work, that she's committed to trying harder and being better. Evan is relieved because his manipulation is working exactly as Oliver said it would. Bree is turning to him in her moment of vulnerability, depending on him to provide emotional safety when everyone else in her life seems unreliable. While Evan is in the shower, Bree sits at his computer and starts clicking through old photos on Facebook, probably seeking distraction or nostalgia or just something to occupy her mind while she processes everything. That's when she sees it. A photo from the Hawaiian party freshman year, buried in the background, showing Evan and Lucy standing much too close together. His hand is on her hip in a way that's decidedly not platonic, and everything clicks into place for Bree. This is the night Evan cheated on her. This is proof that he was with Lucy, that her best friend and her boyfriend betrayed her together. For seasons, this secret has been lurking in the background of their relationships, shaping interactions and creating guilt and resentment that nobody would openly acknowledge. Now, Bree knows, or at least she strongly suspects, and you can see the gears turning as she processes this information. She grabs Evan's phone, presumably to confirm her suspicions by looking for messages or evidence. The episode ends on this cliffhanger, with Bree on the verge of discovering a truth that will shatter multiple relationships simultaneously. The photography exhibition was supposed to be Bree's triumphant moment, her chance to showcase her talent and artistic vision. Instead, it became the setting for her mother's rejection, her relationship with Evan being exposed as built on lies, and her hoped-for connection with Wrigley falling apart